Alright, so in this video I'm going to try and explain to the best of my ability possible how planes work in terratech worlds. So, let's start with center of mass. So basically, this little circle here, you always want to be in the exact middle of your tech. So, let me show you an example of it being off-center here by using a heavy block. This will work. Something like this. Now watch what happens to that white ball in the middle of the tech. See how it moved back to the spot right there instead of being directly in the middle? That's because now I've added more weight in the back, which means basically now your plane's going to start to pitch up when you fly. So if I'm going to add more weight to show you a better example of this for this next bit. Okay, so when your plane is tail heavy, your these blue dots will pitch up because that's where these blue dots basically explain where the plane is going to go when all thrusters / props are turned on without touching the controls. So whenever you try and take off with this plane, since the thrusters are facing down and also there's more weight in the back, or they're farther down on the tech and there's more weight in the back, your plane is going to tilt up and just stay up, and then eventually it's going to flip over when you get that far. But if you balance it, the dots stay in the center of the line right here. So now it'll go straight, and it barely bends. If it does bend, it's barely noticeable. But in real life, planes actually pitch slightly up by default. Pilot input is needed to keep perfectly level, or most modern planes use stabilization computers to automatically adjust. Okay, and then yeah, so that's basically how that works. So let me show you another example of what these blue dots do. They also show your thrust and how fast you'll go, kind of. Let's get a prop. Let's get some props. So if I add this, the dots will move slightly, and then if you add another one, the dots will move slightly more. So let me remove them. You see the two blue dots right there together? They become slightly separated. And they move back. So if I remove them, and I also go back here, don't mind the angle that these are going to show because now I'm changing the weight. Just watch how they are on the horizontal axis. So if I remove that again, it went farther back. Okay, so this plane, as you'll see here, it pitched slightly upwards, like it should, and then you just tap it a little bit. You could make it fly almost perfectly straight, but in this game it's kind of hard to do with what we have at the moment. This is an unstable build 6.005, I think is the number, or I don't know exactly, but we're in an unstable build. Planes are new, so yeah. As you can see, this plane flies pretty well. Now, I'm going to show you another example of what, if you want to build like a helicopter or like a hovercraft type thing. I'm going to try and land here real quick. I tried to build a runway out of these bigger concrete pieces. Did I not save that snapshot again? Whoops. Okay. Alright, so now I'm going to show you an example of a helicopter slash VTOL craft here. I'm going to show you how it flies first. So right now I have my props that are facing up. So the shift, and then there's two prop slash turbines on, or facing forward on another button. And then whenever I press them together, it goes forward better. This craft is slightly front heavy, like most. The way it acts, kind of how most helicopters do in real life, at least from what I can tell. For these type of craft, center of mass doesn't really matter as much. It's just more of a stability thing, like how much you're going to want to manually control it. Hopefully we do get a gyroscope in game at some point, but right now there's not one. That way you don't have to manually control as much. You don't really need the props facing forward, but I like having them because it kind of adds a little bit better stability. But I'm going to show you an example of why these measuring things do not work. The measuring system does not work in this game, for these at least. So, I forgot to mention earlier, you open this menu by pressing K in build mode. So right now I have it off, I press K, it's on. So for this type of craft, these blue dots only show where the craft will go when every prop slash thruster or whatever you want to have on here is on. It does not show what happens when you only press one of them. So right now it's showing that because these front props are on here, but if I remove them, it'll show it basically going straight up. It's a little front heavy because the cab weighs more than these cargoes in the back. If I added something to the back, the center of mass would move a little bit farther back and it probably wouldn't be as bad. But I like this craft, it's simple enough, just a cargo hauler, that's it. Another thing to note is if you build something like this, you want to have wheels with suspension if you're not that good at feathering it to the ground. So basically, like if you're not that good at doing this, where like you gently touch the ground, and if you're the type of person that basically just lets it plop on the ground like that, if you use these wheels for that, these are the current aircraft wheels, that's all we have available. They're just stabilizer wheels. If you use something like that on the bottom, you will break your tech when you land. They do not work that well when you're trying to land. If you're one of those people that that doesn't like to control it whenever it's landing as much, you just want to like let it set itself down, those wheels will not work. You want to use anything that has suspension, any other option. I think all these have, every single one of these other wheels has suspension. Personally, I just use these because I like the look of them. Like these, I mean, they're alright, but I like the look of these ones better. Okay, hopefully that helps you guys build your plane.